As editor-in-chief of the Hills Sydney Digital magazine, it is indeed an honor to welcome an incredibly special guest to the program today, the Premier of New South Wales, the Honourable Chris Minns. Since taking office in 2023, Premier Minns has focused on delivering practical, people-first leadership across issues ranging from housing to cost of living, to education, to infrastructure and community well-being. He brings a thoughtful, calm presence to political leadership and has earned recognition for listening, engaging, and leading with purpose. We are thrilled to have him join us here today with us to share some insights into the challenges and the opportunities ahead for our great state and for the Hills Shire. Thank you for coming on and coming to this wonderful interview with us.
Oh, my great pleasure. Thank you so much, and thank you for that generous introduction.
Premier Minns, now most of these questions today are going to be pointed around the Hills Shire because that's the area we want to focus on. We know you're doing a wonderful job in the state, in this beautiful state we live in. Housing affordability, that's the first thing I want to talk about. What concrete steps is your government taking to ensure more affordable and accessible housing in the Hills District, especially for those first-time home buyers and young families?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think it's probably the issue that I'm asked about the most from regular people in New South Wales. We have in Sydney either the first or the second, depending on how you judge it, most expensive city on earth. And that means that it's increasingly more difficult for young people in particular to live near their parents or their grandparents so that grandparents can be part of their grandchildren's lives. And the statistics are really damning. Now, unfortunately, this isn't a problem that began a couple of years ago. It's been decades in the making, and it's going to take some time to get us out of it. But we are determined to have practical changes that we believe will make a difference. The transport-oriented development so that we can have sensible planning, more uplift, more units and apartments, but close to public transport links, number one. Number two, our R2, R3 medium density changes so that if you are close to a town centre or you are close to public transport, there's an opportunity for you to build. We believe that'll unlock some value and see more people move into these communities, but without stretching social infrastructure. And lastly, and we probably don't speak about this enough, and I should talk about it more and advertise it more, and that is the first home buyer tax breaks. We have a system in New South Wales that if you purchase your first property for under $1 million, you pay no stamp duty or a reduced amount up to $1 million. And we've seen tens of thousands of people in the state take advantage of that tax break. We don't want them paying that land tax, that stamp duty. We want them moving into a home as soon as possible.
Wonderful. My next question is around transport infrastructure. With continued growth in Northwest Sydney, how is your government addressing the need for expanded public transport, that last mile connectivity, particularly improvements to the Sydney Metro and the bus networks?
Yeah, bus networks is something I hear about constantly. We put a lot of money into strengthening bus networks in the northwestern part of Sydney, in particular the Hills District, the 731 buses. It's been expanded, taking in new stops, and we are seeing a greater proportion of the public transport budget move into the northwest sector because we realise that if we've built world-class metro public transport infrastructure, we have to give credit to the previous government for putting in that line. But if we want that line to go in, we can get maximum value for it by allowing people to get on buses to get to metros so they can get into the city. That's number one. Number two is we're extending that line. I mean, it's going through the city. We've committed to the Southwest Metro. So on a single metro ride, you'll be able to move all the way through the city out to Bankstown and then up to the northwest. We think it's going to see more of Sydney being better connected rather than having to battle either the harbour, the tolls, surface traffic, or multiple changes to trains. And it's an exciting addition to Sydney.
And I must add, I've come to this interview, I took the public transport from the Hills and landed straight out of Martin Place, maybe 25, 30 steps, and I was
You're
at
here.
the office. So
Okay.
wonderful. That's a great job done. And credit goes to also previous governments
Yeah.
for setting up that infrastructure.
They deserve it.
And I like the way that you do acknowledge them for the role that they've played.
Yeah, look, I'm probably like a lot of people, I'm not interested in just playing politics 24 hours a day. It gets a bit boring. And I think they deserve credit for it. We'd like to build on it and come up with new initiatives too.
My next question is about cost of living relief. You've probably heard a lot of this. Many families in the hills are struggling with rising costs. What specific cost of living initiatives are being rolled out or planned for this region? I know the budget's just been released, but we don't want to go too specific, but generically, how do you think what's happening?
Look, the government's put a lot of effort and energy into important initiatives like the toll cap, like ensuring over the last couple of years when energy bill prices increased that we had a provision in place for small businesses and households. To be honest with you though, our real focus has been on fairness when it comes to government charges or the amount that people pay. And I see that as being one of the leading drivers of cost of living increases for families, a sense of unfairness. I'd rather stop this endless cycle of privatising government assets, often monopolies,
True.
which then see a private company, and no flies on them, they're allowed to buy these things, but then jack up the price for regular consumers. And one of the things that's stopped under the Labor government is the selling off of monopoly public assets, hospitals, electricity companies, toll roads, because you know what happens? It's sold off, and despite what everybody says, 2 years later, 3 years later, the price absolutely skyrockets and consumers pay for it. So I've stopped that ideology, and I think that's important because we want to make sure that we're helping people. Now, our big decision is coming up, and that is toll road reform alongside the toll cap. I don't have an announcement for you today, but I can promise you we are not going to leave the people of Western Sydney behind. I don't want to see any family or any community disadvantaged by the fact that they live in Sydney's west and have to use toll roads to see their family to get to a job. But I want to make sure that it's not just compensation or a one-off handout, that we've got a permanent fix in place so that people can have confidence that it's going to be there.
Wonderful. Moving on to support for small businesses. Small businesses and family-owned businesses form the backbone of not just the Hills economy, but the national economy of Australia.
Yeah.
What targeted support will your government provide to help them recover and grow, especially in this post-COVID scenario, given that 90% of businesses in the Hills are small businesses?
I do worry about this. A lot of people may not be aware that small businesses are the biggest employers in the country and the biggest employers in the state. And without them, our economy is in big trouble. We want to back entrepreneurs. We want to back people that put their own capital and their own risk into a firm to open it up. They're essential to the New South Wales economy. Can I tell you, one of the leading increases for those businesses who've had to battle COVID, cash flow problems associated with the economy shutting down, inflation at record levels, interest rates that we haven't seen in decades, is workers' comp premiums explode for those businesses. So we've introduced a bill, it's a difficult bill, somewhat controversial, to cap what they call psychosocial benefits paid to individuals in the community. And the reason we've done that is because we have seen workers' comp premiums rise 8% a year, and we're expecting that to go to 12% a year for 3 years, which will see a 36% increase in workers' comp premiums. And that's for a business that doesn't have a mental health or psychosocial claim at workplace. You don't have one. That's what you'll have to pay, all businesses. So we've introduced a bill that will pull that right down. It's passed the lower house. It's stuck in the Legislative Council. I'm really hoping that the Conservatives, the Liberals and the Nationals support this bill. It's absolutely essential for our economy and our businesses in our state. And Business New South Wales tell me that unless there's going to be a reform or change to the system, they're expecting 1 in 5 businesses to close their doors because they can't pay that kind of money.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what's happening. For a small business, one salary matters.
Yeah.
And if that salary is a non-operating cost, in terms of someone on workers' comp, that business can go flat, in a matter of a few months, if not, weeks or years.
Well, the system was set up for physical injuries.
Yep.
You break your arm, and the system is there to help you to get back to work as soon as possible. Psychological injuries, psychosocial injuries, bullying and harassment claims, workplace conflict, it's not set up for that.
True.
And we've seen the average claim go from $150,000 to over $300,000 in a short space of time. The system is not sustainable.
Health services, the expansion of health services, that's my next question. Residents in the Hills face long times at local hospitals. Are there any immediate plans to expand healthcare facilities and staffing in the region, given that people in the Hills Shire need to go to either Blacktown Hospital, Hawkesbury Hospital, or to Westmead Hospital?
Yeah, they're travelling too far.
Yeah.
You're right. And we've heard that loud and clear. The Rouse Hill Hospital has been promised by New South Wales governments for a decade. People have been waiting too long for it.
True.
We've committed $900 million. We've got some money from Michelle Rowland, the federal government, who's a great ally and partner of ours, so that we can complete it. And we have got the land. We're ready to go ahead with it. It's an exciting addition, but you're right. I don't want to do a big lap of honour or do a jig. This is not a nice to have. This is a must have for the Hills community.
I agree.
And we'll build Rouse Hill Hospital.
Thank you for that. Education investment. How is your government investing in schools and educational resources in the Hills District, particularly to support those growing populations that are moving into the new developments?
Yeah, well, we're building a new public preschool and a new primary school, public primary school in the Gables. Important addition to education schools in that northwest area, as well as a new primary school, public preschool and high school for Box Hill.
Fantastic.
And I've been out there recently to see the site, to speak to the principals, to speak to the president of the PNC. Long overdue, long overdue. And one of the, it's good that we're putting the investment in, but one of the sad parts of these investments is that you're often talking to the kids in year 5 and year 6. It takes a couple of years to build, so they're out before they see it. The good thing about the Box Hill change is that it's a primary school and a high school, so they'll be able to move from primary school to high school.
Fantastic. Being a multicultural country, and with so many multicultural New South Wales initiatives, the Hills is a culturally diverse community. How will your government strengthen multicultural services and promote social cohesion in these fast-growing suburbs?
Yeah, we respect multicultural Australia. I think it's one of the great success stories of the world that people can move to Australia and be from different backgrounds, cultures, religions, and get on with one another and live as one community. I do have to stress, however, that I think we need to focus on the fact that we live in a great country and that we want people to come to Australia and join our community.
True.
Join our community, start families, start businesses, and be part of what has been built. And that means that I don't think we should have, and I've been very clear about this, I don't think we should be mucking around with this idea that people can come to Australia or be members of the Australian community and start sowing social division.
True.
We don't have the same freedom of speech rules that they have in the US. And we don't for a particular reason, because we love what has been built in this country and in this state for a long period of time. And it's quite a precious thing. It can be fragile. There's a reason why we have largely have a harmonious, peaceful community, but in all these other places around the world, they seem to be fracturing in two, and I'm determined to protect it.
Fantastic. I'm a big advocate for cultural sensitization, and people, whilst it's great to understand other cultures and where they come from, we've got to get multicultural communities that immigrate into our beautiful state, if not our country, if not our shires, to assimilate and understand what we're all about. We need to respect tolerate other religions, other cultures, and just live a beautiful life in this beautiful place.
I mean, it's the best country in the world.
It is, and undoubtedly the best. Let's talk about environmental sustainability. How is your government planning to balance the ongoing development in the Hills Shire with the preservation of green spaces, local bushland, and sustainability goals?
Yeah, we think we can do that. I mean, Sydney itself is one of the most diverse ecologies in the country, actually, and it just so happens to be alongside a major urban metropolitan centre. So it's a balancing act. I think that our strategy of saying, well, we're going to have urban consolidation, so we'll have apartments and units if people want to live in those places. But as a result of that, we'll have a bigger footprint for the natural environment, whether they're parks, recreational fields, or just people exploring some of the most beautiful national parks in the world. The Blue Mountains National Park's right on the doorstep. You've got Ku-ring-gai to the northwest. It's northeast. It is a spectacular part of the state. One of the things I love about Sydney is that within a short space or a short drive, you can be in pristine national park wilderness, no matter where you live.
Exactly.
That is very uncommon. That is very uncommon around the world. You don't have to jump in your car and travel for 2 hours. I live in southern Sydney, so we're about 40 minutes from the Royal National Park. We're about 20 minutes from a beach. You know, I can go 10 minutes and be on a river. It's similar in the northwest. It's similar if you live on the foothills of the Blue Mountains, and we need to protect it.
My next question is on youth engagement and safety. What plans are in place to improve youth programs, mental health services, and safety for young people in the region?
Yeah. My sense is that we've had a sea change when it comes to, I'll be honest with you, I think we've gone backwards when it comes to the mental health and well-being of young people. The statistics seem to indicate that levels of self-harm and youth suicide are increasing, not decreasing. It hit a nadir in the late 1990s before dramatically falling into about 2010, and then it started to come back up again. I think we're even worse, in a worse situation than we were in the late 90s. And the reason for that is the widespread ubiquitous use of social media, particularly for young people. And I know a lot of people who are adults that find it difficult to have the discipline to put down their phone, to focus on their family, to focus on their friends, to focus on their jobs. I'm not sure why we would expect children who are young and lack that discipline to do what we don't expect of adults. So I think this is a global experiment on young people, and I think we've got to be very careful because I don't want to see this generation be guinea pigs for big multinational social media companies.
Wonderful. Over to local government relations. How do you see the role of I can talk more about the Hills Shire Council and the Blacktown Council in your broader state agenda? And how can collaboration between the state and the local governments be better?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a shame that when you have a different, and I can be bold enough to say this, when you have a liberal government in the local government, and then you've got a state government that's Labour oriented. Just the blame games begin without getting the job done.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that?
I sense your frustration, and you're probably right. I would just start from the premise of saying we respect local government and we respect the voters' decisions in relation to who they put in as mayor and councillors. Even if it's not the same political tradition as me, I respect they've got a role to do representing their community. I hope that a mayor in Western Sydney or Northwestern Sydney respects that I've got a job to do too. And my job's different to being the local mayor. My job is to provide services, ensure that the economy's run well, and that we're providing and building homes for people. And I don't have the luxury of saying, we're just going to turn off new developments and say no to housing. I can't do it. Because if I did that, as bad as the situation is today, it would be 10 times worse in 12 months' time. So I respect their position. One of the things I think the government has done that previous governments haven't, and I don't want to point particular fingers, but I'm hoping that if you're a typical mayor, not average, if you're a typical mayor, that you would say, look, in previous governments, we would take all of the development and the rest of Sydney didn't need to take anything. But under this government, they are expecting me to take development, but they're saying the same thing to the northern beaches. They're saying the same thing to the lower North Shore. They're saying the same thing to the inner west. They're saying the same thing to the eastern suburbs. And as a result, there's a fairness in how Sydney grows. Rather than lumping it all in the northwest, we are, as a good government should, spreading it out. And I'm hopeful I can make some headway with that argument.
Wonderful, thank you. And that's one of the reasons why we started Hills Sydney Digital Magazine. Just for your information, we started our operations in April this year. The then Federal Minister for Communications, Michelle Roden, was keen and kind enough to spare some time and come and get us off. And within a span of about 3 months, we've gone up to 1.52 million hits on our website.
I know about it, and as soon as you launched and I saw its success, I wanted to come on for precisely this reason. You are talking to that community.
So thank you very much. And Premier, we would like you to come, and whenever you come to the area, we know you've got a very busy schedule, but if you can instruct your teams to give us a little bit of a foresight as to, or a little bit of a warning as to when you're coming in, so that we can come and tell the story the way we want to tell it.
You bet.
So that the fake news doesn't go around in the area. And that's my biggest concern, because online bullying, fake news, this seems to dominate what's happening today. And social media is a very easy, anyone with a little smartphone can sit down and become a journal.
Yeah, it's true. But look, we see media outlets like yours as incredibly important at getting our message out. Having tough interviews, answering questions. All I want to do is get on with the job of representing the Hills and see it get ahead.
We love that. Premier, before signing off, I want to ask you, what's the day in the life of Premier Minns?
I get up pretty early. I think Sydney's an early morning town. When I get up early, I see people running in the park or doing exercise. I think it's a bit of a place where there's a lot of energy early in the morning. Maybe it flags a bit at night, but we're an early morning town. So I get up early. I do exercise. Might have to do some stuff with the kids. Speak to my office. But I'm up from 5 and I keep going until we're done, which is usually, maybe if I don't have a nighttime function, 6 o'clock or something like that.
And lastly, what's the legacy Premier Minns would like to leave for this state?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think what I'd like to do is have and run a government that's focused on fairness. I think people work incredibly hard in New South Wales. They raise families, they pay taxes, they do their bit, and they're feeling like they're getting further and further behind. So whether that's in relation to tolls or stopping privatisation or ensuring that we're investing in the next generation, that we run and act like a government that's focused on a fair state.
Premier Minns, really appreciate your time, your insights and the thoughtful words today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. We really appreciate your leadership, and we hope you have a wonderful future, not just for New South Wales, but for the Hills Shire. And you do good things all over. Thank you so much.
My great pleasure. Thank you. You were definitely recording it?
You sure? You got the sound?
Perfect. Thanks,
Same here.
guys.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you coming in.
Sorry,
that's
pardon
all right.
that.
Put that down. Did you need to take any
I might just
photos
take
or
some,
something?
Do you a selfie?
please. Should we do it with the flags?
Yeah.
I'll just do one. Oops. There. When you look at yourself, you realize.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Lovely to see you. We'll next time we're up in the